Hello, everyone. Mr. Schultz here as we dive deep into what is a polynomial. So, we're going to define what is a polynomial. Our learning goal for today is to be able to determine whether an expression is or is not a polynomial. Well, what's a polynomial? Well, a polynomial is a monomial or the sum of two or more monomials. Well, that doesn't really answer our question. Well, what is a monomial? A monomial is a number or constant, a variable, or a product of a number or one or more variables. So let's show you. So a monomial could be a constant like 4 or -2 or 76. Those are all numbers. They're called constants. A variable can be like x. We don't know what it is, but it's equal to something. We also have y, we have z, we have a whole bunch of letters that we label as a variable that could be various numbers. Now, it could also be a product of constants and one or more variables. So, for example, it could be 3x or 3xy or even the dreaded 4t. But wait, what can't be a monomial? So what can't be a monomial? Well, we forgot to mention this. So if you have something like this, if x is in a division, is in the denominator, he's downstairs, then he's not a monomial. Because this is really x to the negative first power. So any numbers, any variables with a negative power are not monomials. So x to the negative fifth power is not a monomial. Now, it might be trying to be sneaky and look like this, but it is still not a monomial. Let's show you another example. Another example is if we have it in a square root sign. So that will equal x to the 1/2. That means it's not a monomial. It needs to have a positive power. So this is x to the positive first power. So that's good. X squared has a positive second power. That's good. But this isn't good because it has a fraction. This isn't good because it's negative. So if it has a negative or a fractional power, then not a monomial. So if we look right here and we see, hey, it's in the denominator, that creates this negative exponent. And if we look right here and he's inside the square root, that means it's a fractional power. All right, guys, let's go on. So we're going to talk about degrees of a monomial. A degree of monomial is the sum of all the exponents of all included variables. So add them up. So let's go on. So determine whether each of the following is a monomial, and then determine the degree of the monomial. So I look right here, I'm like, all right, I have this x squared, and I forgot to remember. Let me write this down. Constants, or just the regular numbers, have a degree of 0. So we don't add them. So we go over here. We see this r is downstairs, so he has a negative exponent. So not a monomial. All right, let's do the second one. So this 3 right here has a degree of 0. This x has a degree of 1. This y has a 3. And this d is 1. Okay, 1 plus 3 plus 1 is 5. So monomial. And the degree, fifth degree. Now I want you to try the next two. In 3, 2, 1, pause. All right, here's our little spot check. We got 8th degree monomial and not a monomial because it is a negative exponent. Let's go on, guys. So, defining polynomials again. A polynomial is a monomial of the sum of two or more monomials. Well, technically, we can talk about that because a monomial can be a polynomial, but because it's one, but we'll talk about that. So a binomial is the sum of two monomials, and a trinomial is the sum of three monomials. So let's show you. Right here, let's fill it in. All right, so number of terms for a monomial is going to be 1. So we're at 1. And that could be 3. That could be 2x. That could be 4xy. And that could be 4x squared y. Could be either of those. A binomial, that's going to be 2. So I can have x plus y. I have 20x plus 7. Or I have 4x squared minus 7x. These are all binomials. So a trinomial is 3. Now, we've been working with trinomials in the fact that we're like solving for like x, and we had to do the quadratic formula. So I get have x squared minus x minus 2. And if I make that equal to 0, I could use the AC method, factoring or completing the square. I could have x squared plus xy plus y squared. And there's 3 terms, and I'm adding them. So these are all just examples right here. Let's go on. So determining the degree of a polynomial, you need to remember, I said it earlier, a constant means just a number, has a degree of 0. So we're going to state the degree of a polynomial. First, we need to figure out if it's really a polynomial. So just like we were doing previously, we're going to go all the way down and we're going to answer this question. So first figure out if it's really a polynomial. Any variables that with a negative or fractional exponents equals no, don't equal a monomial. So then it's not a polynomial. Then we're going to find the sum of every monomial inside the polynomial. So give me a second. So add each degree of each monomial, but it's the largest. So we need to figure out what's the largest of them all. It doesn't matter about anything else. Just figure out the largest one, and that's the degree. So first up, I have x to the 6th power. Cool. That seems good. Now, 4 is going to be to the 0 power. It's like, has a degree of 0 because it's just a number. And now I have the cube root. So that's equal to x to the 1/3. By golly, hey, it's a fraction. So not a polynomial. Let's continue. Going on. Number 2. So now this one's a little confusing. I'm just going to go right underneath. I'm going to write it out. -9 is 0. This 3 is 0. And then 2 and 7, that's 9. And then I have this 5 is 0. This 4 and b is 1. So that's going to be 5. So it looks like, hey, polynomial. And what's the degree? Polynomial. The largest one is 9. There we go. Next up. Ooh, this one might be, I think it's where we're almost toward the end. Let me do this last one and then I'll give you the next 2 by yourself. So I have this 2/3 x to the -5th minus 6 to the x to the -3rd minus x. Well, that's 1. And hey, wait a second. We got negative exponents. So, not a polynomial. And now we need to answer why. Negative exponents on the variables. Ah, all right. So now I want you to do the next 2 ones, and I'm going to write the answer out after you give me some time to try it yourself in 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. All right, so here's the last 2 answers. Number 4 is a polynomial with a degree of 4. That's the largest. And number 5 is it's not a polynomial because it has a negative exponent, g to the negative first power, because it's in the denominator. All right, guys. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in class.